The Scholarship of Teaching and Learning is simply college educators looking at their students' performance and in what ways they can improve that performance. There are a variety of ways that they can do that through both quantitative and qualitative research methodology, but the idea is to actually go through a systematic process of producing data that actually shows whether or not students are learning based on the different things that are being done. So I got into SoTL work as a natural progression from the work that I was doing in my PhD program, which was in physical education, teacher education. And so I did a lot of work looking at what teachers do in the physical education environment, how that impacts student learning there. So when I got to Georgia Southern, I had actually never heard of SoTL before, and was able to talk with some of my colleagues about it and get a couple projects started, one of which that resulted in a fellowship. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So I would say the most impactful project that I worked on was actually a year-long project looking at flipped classroom methodology and how that may impact student learning. So I chose this because I was, like most professors, dealing with large class sizes and teaching a course that really required them to go beyond what they were learning in a lecture. So we ended up trying to create a flipped classroom environment in one class and a traditional lecture format in another class. And we wanted to see what kind of effects we had on student learning, for one, their motivation to learn, and their overall course experience. So specifically with the methodology of this project, what we did is we split up groups based on the sections of a course that I already had. The assignment of whether it was a flipped classroom or the traditional classroom was done randomly. And from there, I carried out the course teaching both sections myself. And students were actually surveyed at the very beginning of the semester and at the end. We also used scores on tests, and we actually pulled in also some data from our learning management system to see how often students were actually watching videos. As part of this process, we actually did some pilot work with the group the semester before that, so I could get the actual flipped classroom methodology down. So exactly how I was going to create the lectures that students would watch online and what activities I would do in the actual classroom. So from this project, we actually learned that the flipped classroom methodology, at least in this application, was not successful. We actually saw very similar levels of motivation with students. We also saw about the same test scores and everything else. So one of the main reasons for that was due to the fact that students in the flipped classroom over time stopped watching the lectures. So this actually has resulted in a lot of changes in what I do in my course now in terms of better connecting the lectures to the actual material we cover in class and the assignments we do in class. It also helped me to realize how important it was to check students' understanding before we get into assignments. So adding quizzes and other things that students can do at the very beginning of class to make sure that they are ready to go to the next step. The other thing I learned also really was that it wasn't detrimental to students' learning. The overall experience of the courses were similar, so I continue to use flipped classroom methods even now, and in fact, I helped to facilitate a group here on campus, a faculty learning community, where we focus on flipped classroom methodology and trying to make it work for various applications. So as far as advice that I would give to any faculty who is interested in SoTL is to reach out to the CTE. From there, they can help get faculty in contact with other faculty who are actually doing the work. There are several people on campus, not only on our SoTL leadership team, but throughout different programs that already are doing this work. I think that mentoring and that process of conducting research in that way is so much better done when you're working with someone who's been experienced in it. I know I've worked with several people on campus trying to help them out with their SoTL projects as well. CTE also has a SoTL fellowship program that is you can apply to, where you get mentorship that way, and also the SoTL awards, which also help to showcase the good SoTL research that's being done here. Georgia Southern is one of the few places that I know of that really focuses in on SoTL and has the support needed to be able to carry out these projects. So with that, I'd say the best thing that you can do is just contact CTE, and that's how you can get started.